builders getting out of the market to build the condos because it's so expensive. There's a lot of risk.
We need to hurry up and get a little bit more people in shelter, permanent shelters. And kid home seems to be an obvious natural fit to that.
When the settlers and pioneers first came in the central basin of our state, there were plenty of problems to be solved. What to plant, how to get water, what you needed to make things grow, what's the soil like, just a myriad of questions that had to be answered. Today we look back 200 years later, 150 years, and we see all those answers right here in the Central Washington Agricultural Museum. Machinery they built, equipment they constructed, ideas they brought forward, tractors they used, every possible type of agricultural implement that you can think of.
I was going to say, no.
All right. Somebody going to tell me go?
Go for it. Yep.
Well, welcome everybody to Western State Hospital. My name is Shawn Talbot, and I'm the Acting Assistant Secretary for the Behavioral Health and Habilitation Administration. I'm here today to introduce our team of people that'll be standing for questions, and so I'm going to start over here with Taylor Johnson from Clark Construction. If you can. There we go. Sean Murphy, who is the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Capital Maintenance and Leased Facilities. Next to Sean is Angela Ramirez, our secretary for the Department of Social and Health Services, who will come up and introduce herself as well. Byron Eagle from the Child Study and Treatment Center. We also have Dr. Tom Kinlan, who's the director of our Office of Forensic Mental Health Services. And of course, the Honorable the Governor, Bob Ferguson. And I'm going to end with our CEOs for Western State Hospital, Charles Sutherland and Mark Thompson, and I'll invite them up to the podium to say a few words.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Charles Sutherland, Chief Executive Officer for the Civil Center of Excellence at Western State Hospital. So first off, I've just got to say it's been an honor, it's been a pleasure to have the governor come and hang out with us for a week. When he came to the hospital, he'll tell you, I said, mi casa, su casa. It's just been awesome. It's been a good experience. Staff have really been appreciative to just be able to show off the good work that we do. And I always say folks will come out to the hospital and they leave a little more enlightened, and I think there's that true appreciation for the work that we do, and I believe the governor's feeling the same way as well.
Mark Thompson, Chief Executive Officer of the Gage Center, so I oversee the forensic wards here at the hospital. And like Charles said, it has been our honor and privilege to welcome the governor this week, highlight the work that our staff do for our patients here each and every day. And on behalf of Western State Hospital, definitely want to welcome the governor. Thank you very much for being here, and welcome all of you for being here in our Treatment and Recovery Center. This construction project has been a while in the making. I remember when we started thinking about the design of it about 5-6 years ago, and this space is kind of an indication of our move toward the more modern treatment that we are trying to provide for our patients here at Western State Hospital. So look forward to an opportunity to have all of you who are here today walk through, take a look at some of the features that we have, moving ourselves into the future of behavioral health care in the state of Washington. So with that, I would like to welcome Governor Bob Ferguson.
Thanks so much, yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Charles and Mark, and to the whole team who's been so gracious these last several days for me and many members of my team who've been here. It's been a real it's been a real pleasure to spend some time here this week. And so on behalf of my entire team, thanks to all of you and many others who aren't in this room right now who have been so gracious in welcoming us. I'm just going to share a few thoughts and reflections from the last several days. I'll turn to Angela, who is, I think, in her 6th week on the job, so even a little bit newer than me. But I know we both really appreciate the chance to meet with workers, meet with leadership, and see what's going on here at a very personal level. So let me start by saying, a thank you to those who work here, number one. Over the course of the past several days, we met with workers each day in different parts of this important facility, and all state workers perform a really important function for the people of the state of Washington. I think it's fair to say that there's no group of workers who perform, a more important function than the work that's going on here, and sometimes in very, very challenging situations. And so, I want to start with that on behalf of the people of the state of Washington, we so deeply appreciate those workers. We met individuals who have been working here literally for decades, and one thing that came through loud and clear was, their passion for this work. They can make more money working somewhere else. That is obvious, but they choose to work here because they so believe in the mission of what goes on here, and so believe in the individuals who come through here and their work to help those individuals get better. So I want to start with that. We've had a chance to do a range of activities here. I've had a chance to sit down each day with the workers, just conversation with the workers about their experiences, their challenges, what's working, what they'd like to see improved. A chance to tour facilities that are here, current facilities, and excitedly facilities that are to come. So I do want to mention the new hospital that is being constructed as we speak. That's an example of a tour that we had the chance to go through. That facility will have 350 beds, as many of you know. That will be coming online August of 2027, if I've got my years right. Have I got the right year there? 28, sorry. I always got them off by 1 year, 28. But a chance to walk through and see that, and the importance of that facility on many levels. Single rooms for individuals will be huge. More capacity, which will be huge. Moving us towards federal certification, which will be huge. All those things are critically important and really state-of-the-art. For safety, for everybody concerned, that facility will be a huge, huge asset as well. So on many, many levels, and I want to express my appreciation to my predecessor, Governor Inslee, who of course helped lead that effort to move forward on constructing that facility. I also want to, we talked a lot about True Blood, the True Blood case. I have some experience with True Blood from my time as Attorney General. As we talked about, I think even earlier this week, as the Attorney General during that litigation, I had a certain lens on that litigation. It's a different perspective, obviously, as Governor. But I have to say that the evolution of where we were just a few years ago in terms of meeting the requirements of True Blood to where we are now, which has been in compliance now for, I think, closing in on 2 years, is remarkable. And that may not be a strong enough word for the progress that's been made here to meet the requirements of True Blood and to serve those individuals. Wait times literally were many, many, many months. I think we talked earlier today where the current wait time is just a matter of days. And that is remarkable. And a lot of work from a lot of individuals and policymakers across the board to really see that vision and move to that vision and to be in compliance with True Blood, which is important from a legal perspective, obviously, but even more important from a human perspective to make sure that folks are getting the help that they need. And so that is something I'm deeply appreciative. And really, it's a model, I think, for other state agencies that are experiencing challenges. Every state government has challenges. We're not unique in that way. But I do think that's a model for how one can transform an entire system, especially one that's very, very complex, to do it very, very quickly and do it in a way that has been now in compliance for quite a period of time. I know there was an article I read maybe a year ago that talked about that remarkable recovery, but said, hey, the system is fragile because it had been relatively recent that we'd come in compliance. But hey, another year has gone by since that article was written, and we're still very much in compliance. That's a credit to everybody who works here, and again, all the folks who have made that possible. There are challenges moving forward. The number of individuals who need to come here is only increasing. We spend a lot of time talking about that and to meet that growing need as time goes forward. We're excited that at, for example, UW Medicine, we feel we're on a path to fill those 75 beds soon. That's one example of many of trying to make sure we're building that capacity for the future needs that we have as well to make sure we're always in compliance and maintain that compliance, which will be a challenge for us. We face some really challenging budget situations right now. We've talked about that as well. And we're just going to have to manage through that during a really challenging managing time to meet these needs, make the appropriate investments that we can afford, but being mindful we have some real serious budget challenges. Maybe one more thing I want to add is I enjoyed everything about the last several days. I especially enjoyed when toured where the young people are at, and had the chance to, when we were touring there, 2 young people, both teenagers, provided tours of their rooms that are here. Echo and Bethany are their names. So when I met them, I think Echo specifically said, "Can you give me a shout out, Governor?" So for Echo, this is the shout out, and we really appreciated that visit and that personal interaction with both Echo and with Bethany. As a father of teenagers, I should say, that visit was impactful. That all kids have challenges in different ways, right? Some kids are facing different challenges, but the fact that they're working through that, having a chance to interact with them, which was really enjoyable, and the workers here who are really making sure that young people like Echo, and Bethany, are getting the help that they need, and in a really challenging time for them. So the last several days has been a really wonderful experience. It's been great to be here with Angela, of course, who's new in her important leadership role. I want to give her a chance to say a few words. I've not covered everything. I want to have a chance for some questions as well about the week. And so, Angela, I'm going to turn it over to you for a few words, and happy to take any questions. Thanks, Angela.
Good morning. Good to see everybody. My name is Angela Ramirez. I am the new DSHS secretary. As the governor said, I'm 6 weeks on the job. But I got to say, in 6 weeks, in just 6 weeks, and even that short of time, I have been so impressed with the team here at Western State Hospital and the broader BHHA team, not just because of the work that they're doing, but the true spirit and dedication they're bringing to protecting and supporting Washingtonians under our care. I, of course, want to thank Governor Ferguson, not just for the opportunity to serve, but also for really shining a light on the work that is happening here. I know you have a ton on your plate, but getting to have you here for 4 days to really delve into a lot of the issues here was so appreciated. I'll highlight just a few of the items that I think are worth I know I'll take away from this week, and I suspect others will too. Some of the things we explored together over the last 4 days. We looked at how patients come to us. So what is the pathway for a patient coming into one of our state hospitals? And then we also looked at who are these patients? What are the types of patients we serve, both in our residential facilities, but also in our state hospitals. We, as the governor referenced, we had a great opportunity to meet some young people. If you hadn't given the shout out, it was in my notes to make sure it happened, so I exhaled a little bit, but that was such a tremendous moment, I know, for a lot of us to put a real face to it and to feel the spirit that they bring and to their day-to-day, and how excited they were to show off their rooms and also talk about a little bit about their progress and what they're learning here. And then, of course, we talked a lot about community engagement, which I really want to emphasize, because for me, coming into this space, you think of community engagement as kind of, okay, you have the construction, you have these things, you get inputs from people, but I think there's this real interest, not just in sort of the community engagement that happens here, but as we are working and seeing this as a continuum of care with our patients, how are we making sure we're engaging with the community when they potentially return to the community themselves? So really focus not just on what's happening here, but in the outside world. And then lastly, as the governor referenced, we put on our boots, literally, some of us, and we saw the construction site, which, again, for me personally, 6 weeks in was really exciting. I had seen a lot of it on paper, and it's one thing to see it on paper and to hear on time, on budget. I wish some of my home projects had gone that well, but it was truly thrilling to see where the state of play on this new construction is. And you think about not just that we're on time and on budget, but you think about the projections that we're seeing, this 8% annual projection of an increase in needs of behavioral health beds. So we all love a great construction project. We all love the opportunity to get to see it. But when you think about what's to come, it's really meaningful. So those are just a few of the things I wanted to highlight. What a way to wrap up 6 weeks. Really, again, thank you so much to the team here. And as the governor said, the team not here. There's so much important work that's always happening behind the scenes that I think we got just a glimpse of today. And thank you, everyone, for being here. And I think with that, I'm going to turn it back to the governor.
Great. So happy to take any questions if you have any, and I've got a team here who can help with any detailed ones as well. Yeah.
Sure. So I guess to start, did anything that you saw or any discussions you had in the past few days, does any of that inform what you will propose in the upcoming session in terms of your budget or legislation that you haven't talked about yet?
Sure. I'll just repeat the question so folks can hear it who are watching. The question goes to the budget, and did I hear anything or learn anything this week that will, I think, inform me as we're putting our budget together? So the short answer is yes. We spent a fair amount of time talking about the budget and the challenges we're facing there. So I guess I'd say a couple things. One is, and I think Angela mentioned, the increase of around 8% a year that we anticipate will be happening. That has obvious budget implications. So right now we are meeting the need, right, with number of beds, but that's not a static thing, right? That is something that came through loud and clear to me, that this is something that the experts anticipate happening for some time to come, for the foreseeable future. And so obviously, in terms of putting a budget together, making sure we're doing everything we can to try and meet that, so we don't end up back, in some place we were in the past, right? That we're meeting that need moving forward. That costs money, right? Those are operating funds. We have challenges in that budget, but we had a lot of conversation around that, to be sure. And I was already having those conversations with the budget team, to be clear, but it helped drive the point home of the need that we're going to see. Number two, a very specific issue that came up a lot in talking to the folks who work here that has budget implications is the need to move from, they are still using sort of paper documentation here as opposed to an electronic system. In talking to workers, that came through loud and clear, that they are looking for a change to that. That also takes resources, but that's going to be important. That can be important when the new facility comes online to be certified by the feds. So but that's another specific issue that I've already asked my budget team to give me some numbers of what does that look like, what's been our progress so far, what needs to happen, what have been the challenges. So that's another specific issue. That is one that we're going to see what we can do. But, what I just will add is, the budget situation is really challenging. And so, and we have lots of competing needs that we have as a state. So we've still got another 5 weeks or so to sort through that. But I appreciate the chance to hear what folks who are the experts who are doing this work every single day, what they see as the key need and frankly, the key challenges that are coming in the future with increased capacity that we're going to need. Angela, I just want to ask, Angela, if you anything you want to add to that I'm leaving out?
I don't think anything that you're leaving out so much as just to really emphasize we want to be good stewards of the dollar, right? And the governor's been really clear on where are the value adds, where are the efficiencies. We are looking under every rock to make sure we're doing things as close to perfect as possible. It's going to be hard, right? And what we saw today on the continuum of care is you sort of push one place, it goes another, right? So we're looking at not just individual pieces, but how the whole system works together as we're thinking through budget.
Yep.
So just to be clear, like when you talk about capacity issues, are you saying you're prepared to put forward a proposal to increase bed capacity somehow in this upcoming budget cycle?
What I would say is that's the kind of thing we're looking at very closely, right? And so I want to make sure we have a budget that is meeting the current need and, right, being responsible looking forward as well. We had a very direct conversation just half an hour ago, right, about the budget challenges we have. So I just have to be realistic about that. There's going to be a lot of challenging decisions, but I think to your question about, hey, what did I hear in the last few days that is helping me make decisions about the budget, that was one thing that came through, right? That obviously I've been very much aware of tracking TrueBlood pretty closely, that we've been in compliance for an extended period of time, that the capacity by and large, right, we're making progress. You'd have medicine talking about that, hey, we think we're going to be able to move from those 40 beds to potentially filling that in the relatively near future. So we're taking steps across the board to make sure we're expanding that capacity. But I heard more than once that increase, I think that Angela referred to as well, of, hey, about 8%. That is more individuals coming through, more capacity needed, and trying to make sure that in this budget and also in future budgets as well, right? Obviously, this is a supplemental budget. There'll be another budget in a very near future. So I think answering that specific question, I think that was something that resonated with me. This is not some static thing. It's not a static number of people who are here, and that once you've met that need, you're good. That is something that we need to be looking to the future to make sure we're anticipating what may be coming. It's all you, I think. Anything else you want? Yeah. Yep.
Sure. There have been a lot of concerns in recent years about employee safety here, assaults on employees. I think it was roughly a couple hundred assaults in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
That there is data available for. Can you or anybody else kind of speak to what's taking place currently to address those issues?
Yes.
Hear about those issues from employees. What's being done to address the problem?
Yeah. So the question goes to assaults that have been experienced here by staff. So yes, multiple conversations around that, including directly with staff, including with staff who have experienced that, staff who love their work but have experienced that. And so, just a couple things I'll say before turning over to others who may want to add to it. That's going to be an ongoing challenge in a facility like this. That is a reality that comes with a facility like this. Number two, and I'll let folks here expand on specific actions they've been taking to do the best that we can to mitigate that, because we want to make sure this is, as much as we can, make this a safe environment, obviously, for the workers who are doing the challenging work. On the positive side, what I think they would describe, and they can better define it, sort of violent assaults, as that's defined, that has been trending down, which is a good thing. But that is something that, from the workers to leadership to across the board, that was a regular topic of conversation. And I'll let others speak about specific steps that they're taking to that question as well.
Mark Thompson, CEO at the Gage Center. I think, when we're talking about the proclivity for violence for a lot of our patients. Some of that is, as Governor Ferguson mentioned, a baseline for many of them. I mean, most of our folks are coming to us through the criminal justice system, and most of them have committed some type of a violent felony, or at least a felony, in order to get in our front door. So I think, you know, the fact that they're coming in with that behavior is something that we're trying to modify and regulate. And one of the challenges, because we're great now at bringing folks in efficiently from the jails, we're bringing them in very quickly, sometimes unmedicated. So a lot of that is, it adds to the complexity of working with a psychiatric population. So we have done things in previous years. We've established a behavior management team that works on some of our more assaultive patients' cases, trying to make sure that we're thinking globally about how best to care for them. We have psychiatric emergency response team that is able to respond sometimes before a patient escalates beyond the point of being able to contain the situation. We have security forces on campus that we train to intervene when necessary. So there's just a few of the things, and I'll let Charles speak to anything that he can think of for his side.
So again, Charles Sutherland, Chief Executive Officer for the Civil Center. And so I guess one of the things I always start off with is, so for Mark and I, we carry these cell phones with us 24 hours a day, and we're notified of these assaults. So it weighs on us. And I always go back to as well, we're tasked with taking care of the most acute patients in the state of Washington. So a lofty goal of having 0 assaults, although I strive for that, Mark strives for it, it is what it is. It's a lofty goal based on the patients that we're treating. So I think Mark covered most of the points that I would say as well. But we have been doing a little bit of work lately just around getting our staff better able to engage with patients. So it's something that we've kind of noticed over the past couple of years, is that skill set to just be able to go up and engage Mark if this is your first job coming into the state system. So some of it, I think, is on us in regards to our training that we do and don't do. So we're working on the training piece, and then we're just constantly working on getting that engagement better on the ward. So, yeah, I don't know if I'd say anything else. I think Mark covered it well.
Yeah. Is it mainly a training issue? Is it changes to the facility itself? Is it the number of staff that are here? Like, what would you say are, I guess, like the key factors that play into, beyond obviously what you're talking about, the challenges for patients?
Wow. So I think one of the things you just mentioned was facility. Yeah. So the campus itself is beautiful. When folks drive in, they're coming to that flagpole, it's beautiful, it's historic, but it's aged. It's well over 100 years old. And so that creates some complexities in itself. It leads back to the fact of the new hospital. And how I connect that is just to say the new hospital will have single rooms. So currently on my civil wards, I'll just cover those, all of my wards only have one single room. A lot of times the patients that we're dealing with, they can't have the roommate. So new hospital will have that. We'll have quiet spaces on the ward. And even when you tour around here, I think you'll see some of the things that we're able to identify that we need to do now with patient care that when that hospital was built 150 years ago just weren't in place. So that's one piece. So yeah, I would say facilities, staff training is something that we work on as well. It's layered. So, but the training, staff come to work, they want to go home safe, and they do the best that they can. But again, I could also point back to it's just a little bit different on the patient population that we're dealing with right now in the state hospital system, and I think Mark kind of touched on that. So my background, just real quick, was 33 years starting here as a mental health technician working on the floor. So at that time, we had approximately 8 geriatric wards. That population has shifted now, so we have 1 on my side, and I think 1.5 geriatrics on Mark's side. So it's just a different patient population, and so we're trying to just adapt to that and make sure we're doing everything we can for the staff in those situations. So.
The construction project has been mentioned a couple of times. It sounds like, if I heard correctly, on time and on budget, so we're still roughly working with a $947 million cost estimate. And August 2028, I think was originally around the target date for completion, right?
We are. My name is Sean Murphy. I'm Deputy Assistant Secretary for DSHS. What I can say is that, yes, we're absolutely on scope, on schedule, on budget with the new hospital, and that hasn't come without a lot of challenges. The team that we're working with HOK and Clark Construction, amazing partners. They're in this. They know what they're doing. They've helped build out some of the other behavioral health facilities in our area. So the new UW teaching hospital, Clark Construction was a part of that. The VA treatment center and research center up in Seattle, they were also a part of that. HOK, our contractor that's helping us with the architecture and design of the facility, helped build out Oregon State Hospital. So we put the A team together to build out this new hospital, which is, by the way, the largest capital project in Washington State history, the largest project for behavioral health in our area. So yes, it's on scope, yes, it's on schedule, yes, it's on budget. To talk a little bit about what you'd asked about earlier about violence, one of the other things that we're doing, aside from some of the other elements that they're talking about, so working on medication regimens and how we're doing that, working on therapies and how we're doing that. Also understanding in depth the violence level. We know that limit set, activity demand, and request denials are the top 3 reasons why staff get assaulted. One assault is too many assaults for us. And so anything that we can do to build out to both systems, processes, and trainings to help people. And then also, we're designing our way out of violence with the new state hospital. What you're going to see with the new state hospital is the HOK came in and they looked at the area that we have here. We're right between the beautiful Puget Sound, right between Mount Rainier. As a matter of fact, from certain locations on campus, you can see that. And so kind of laying in with that design, they've made this a very environmentally friendly place. You see elevated walkways that lead from patient care areas, single room patient care areas, on out to a very therapeutic setting where they're receiving their therapies. And those, it overshadows 5, I think it is, courtyards that are secured areas, so no more fences. Now you have building and an aesthetically pleasing design around those things. So whether it be the training they provide, the physical plant that we're putting into play, the medication regimen that's being provided, the therapies that are being addressed, all of those contribute to a much, much safer hospital. And we're very excited to have not only the team on board, but to soon share with you the premier hospital for behavioral health in Washington State.
Thanks so much for the question. I think the team's available afterwards if you have additional questions as well. And
I've got one from the spokesman.
sure, go for it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's give it a shot. Yeah.
So the reporter from the spokesman asked,
Yep.
can you talk a little bit about Eastern State Hospital and what steps have been taken to improve conditions in that?
Great. So the question goes to Eastern State Hospital and conditions there. So I'll turn over to the team to maybe, and the question went to, hey, any issues that are going on there and steps that are being taken?
To improve conditions.
To improve conditions, yeah.
And that's from the spokesman.
I'll probably start just top line and then turn it over to our Assistant Secretary. So the end of my first week, I got this call, no one wants to get in the middle of the night, and went out and saw immediately a system in place that was looking to be responsive, not just in the moment, because it was for a while an active shooter situation, but responsive in the moment, but was at the same time incredibly focused on what was coming around the corner, what the next systems would need to be. I would love to turn it over to our Assistant Secretary, Sean Talbot, to talk a little bit more about some of the things, not just in the moment, but also around the corners and some of the processes that are in place.
Thank you. Again, Sean Talbot, Assistant Secretary for the Behavioral Health and Rehabilitation Administration. So, tragic event that occurred, random act of violence, never happened at the hospital before, and so we have worked diligently since that tragedy to talk with the team, talk with other experts about things that we can do to increase security at Eastern State Hospital, as well as look at how we may be able to increase security across our continuum of care. And so we've developed a list of things like lighting assessments, radios that we use, newer vehicles for patrol, additional staffing, and things like that. And so, we're in the process now of compiling that information, working with partners, talking with, our funding authority to be able to put into place some things that will ensure our staff that they're safe, but also keep the campus safe.
Thanks. Any other reporters pinging you for questions, or is that okay? Okay. All right.
I guess the only other question I'll ask, Governor, this is kind of a bigger picture question. I mean, the True Blood litigation, you brought it up. It's been almost a decade. I mean, at this point, obviously the state has made progress. I mean, do you think the state is on track, in a good place to bring that legal situation to a close during your term, or do you think it's going to stretch beyond your time?
Yes, I feel confident. I guess I would say, I think you use the phrase, hey, we've made improvement. I'd use a stronger word than improvement, all right? And look, I can be critical of state government sometimes, right? And but the transformation has been profound. I mean, I think there's no other way to put that. I mean, truly, to go from where things were just a handful of years ago to where it is now is total transformation. And so, but look, obviously, things are determined by federal judges. We're going to get a new judge. Judge Peckman is retiring, so we're about to get a new judge. And so, obviously, we're not in control of that. But speaking as a past AG who was involved in this, and now as a governor, facts are facts, right? That what the state is doing, the investments we've made, the transformation that's occurred is what it is. And our job now is to maintain that, right? That's my job. That's all of our job, is to maintain that moving forward so we don't find ourselves back in that situation again. So, do I feel confident we're going to be able to do that? Of course, I do. I feel we're on that trajectory. The budget challenges are real, right? And we've got to find a way to navigate that like we do with lots of issues. We've got culverts. We've got special education funding. We've got a lot of needs out there that we need to address. But do I feel confident we can maintain that? I do. And thanks for being here and covering this as well. Just to wrap up, thanks to all of you. We so appreciate, on behalf of my entire team who's been borrowing your offices and your space for the last several days. We understand it takes a lot of accommodation to have all of us kind of descend here for several days. And so, we know a lot that goes on behind the scenes as well. And just for making yourselves available and your teams available, we just so appreciate it. And look, just to close where we started, the work that goes on here is so critically important. When I started in politics a long time ago, 20 years ago on the King County Council, really one of the first issues I got involved in was issues related to mental health, in part because my family had, sort of personal to our family, like a lot of families, issues related to mental health, which, were deeply impactful to my family. So, like anyone who's new in politics, you kind of gravitate to issues that you have some personal experience in, right? For me, I'm a lawyer, so legal issues I was interested in, but mental health issues for that reason. So I've always been interested in those issues because of that, and just really appreciate anyone who's doing work to help folks out who are struggling, and that certainly is going on here with many, many state workers. So big appreciation to them, and just really appreciate all of your time and being here as well. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.